All right, hey, this is Mikey with Rhizofunga. I have a full-length video on how I make the LabRat automated sterilizer. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's a device that is used in mycology, aka mushroom cultivation or tissue culture labs, and it sterilizes lab instruments basically by getting instruments really hot really fast using induction. So I started by designing this thing, lots of prototyping, all that good stuff, got it into parts. We 3D print the frame, the cover, the case, and then we insert around 19 brass heat inserts into the frame, which helps assemble it. Once those are in there, we heat anneal this PA6 carbon fiber filament. From there, I have to create 3 separate wiring harnesses. The first one here is the sensor harness. I have to hand cut, strip, tin, tie all these wires together. It's very time consuming, but I usually do it in batch mode. Here I'm applying some flux and I'm using a solder pot. This makes things go much quicker rather than using a soldering iron. Once those are done, I crimp them off and I cut them. You'll see that a little bit later here. Here I am making the coil harness, or what I call the coil harness. Basically 2 black and red wires. This is 12 volt DC, 10 amp, proper gauged wire. There's an LED on this one that is basically showing that the coil is running. It's wired directly up into the coil. I'm putting on some heat shrink here. It's overkill, but I like to keep things tidy. Shrinking those puppies down there, crimping the wires so they fit into the blue terminal connectors on the PCB board, which you'll see here shortly. Perfect size, perfect fit, just crimping everything down. So I got 2 harnesses done. For the third harness, this is the simple one. This is just for your female power jack. Again, applying the flux, throwing them in the solder pot there. Shaky hands, drinking coffee, cranking these things out. Quick little solder there, can't do the solder pot. And these do get heat shrink as well, and those actually need it, so those wires aren't touching. So those are done. You didn't see me, but I had to form and shape this coil. It doesn't come like this. Sand off the edges to expose the copper and then solder those down onto the induction coil itself. This is a mini ZVS induction coil. I actually modify these. I take off the parts that they come with, or some of them, and put better ones in. And now we're in the real sub-assembly here. We got the coil going in a little frame harness there, and really I'm just kind of connecting all the pieces that make the inside frame. These are all printed with a, again, PA6 carbon fiber filament. They're heat annealed, so they're stronger, has really good dimensional stability, and it's really strong and extremely heat resistant. This thing does get warm, obviously, and so you need a really good engineering filament. Here's my little connector that all the wires go into. Basically, the main power from the 12 volt power supply goes into this and feeds in all the wires. Everything's connected into a module here, but this is me just getting the connector set on the coil itself. Another little wire there. Now I can connect the sensor. It needs 12 volts, positive, negative, and then that black wire coming off the end is the actual sensor itself. So continuing to wire that down. Everything's getting screwed down. 19 screws in total. Here's my little time delay MOSFET relay module. This thing is sweet. Connecting all the connectors. We got basically the positive, negative power in, positive, negative power out to the coil. So that's those 4. Here's the actual trigger sensor from the sensor, and then a ground to top that off. So we're pretty much all wired up. I bend the coil back in place and I get the little modular control topper on there. Screw this thing in with some 4mm M3 or 3M or M3 bolts. Crank that down with my handy dandy automatic screwdriver, which makes things way better. No longer have carpal tunnel in my wrist when I am assembling 15, 20 of these puppies. Here's this little glass connector joint, goes in there, fits in nice and snug. The sensor itself just snaps right in there, kind of twist that guy on there. Getting the tolerances right on these prints is very time consuming, a lot of trial and error, but got it all in there. I threw the LED up in the little insert tube there. That turns on when the coil is running during the heat cycle. Get all these screws on there, get it all snug and tight, get that glass piece in there. So pretty much the whole internal housing is glass besides where it's over the sensor. Here I am assembling the stand. 3 screws, it's overkill, but all going on those brass fittings, super tight connection. Getting the power harness in there, screwing that thing down. That little nut in there just fits flush into the stand, and then I pull these wires, these power wires, through and around and connect into that little connector hubby thingy majigger. Snap those down, position the little housing in place, and then I screw on the back. 3 or 4 screws. Again, probably overkill, but this keeps everything real tight, snug, and gets the tolerances there. I got 2 screws in the bottom, and then I got these little silicone feet. That keeps the sterilizer nice and stuck to your table when you're using it. And then the cover just slides on, which is nice. It's tight, but it slides on. And here's me packaging up a bunch and shipping them out. So that's it. I know it was quick, but there's the proof in the pudding. Thanks for watching.